First, second, turd. Yes, that's right. Laugh Turd got it today with first, second, and third, but I corrected him because he was wrong about the last one. But Mario is here as well, saying first to lie and say I'm first. Of course, we've got 11-3rd. Howza! Mark Spivey is also in the house saying, Mario! Looks like you got first to me. Yep, he did get first. That's actually still here. But earlier today, when I put this out, we had Laugh Turd jumping in. Apparently, he was not very busy today. Somebody's going to have to correct that. But anyways, hey, I'm over this sweaty balls weather, it says Mark Spivey. Yes, I think we're all over the sweaty balls weather, but I have to say, it's been fantastic riding weather. I don't think I've rode my motorcycle this much in 1 year in a long time. And that's saying it like if it was only fair weather riding. Like I have, and on knock, man, on wood, I have yet to get rained on where I wasn't expecting it. Like a little bit here, a little bit there, whatever, but I kind of expect it sometimes. You take the risk, take the chance, and just do it. Anyway, but whatever. Shitty day today, though, right? Shitty day. We do have a guest coming on at some point. Once he joins in the chat, we will get to him. But until then, it was a shitty day today. Obviously, in news. If you don't know, there's a new assault weapons ban that was passed through the House today. We had some individuals who crossed over. Imagine that. We're going to go ahead and we're going to check on the votes for the assault weapon ban and see who voted yes. Who crossed over today? Republicans who voted yes. New AW ban. Not going to say the words because there's no such thing as AWs unless you're talking about A and W, and they do still exist. Kids say yes to them all the time. So, what's up, mother lovers, says Bukaki. What is up, mother lover, to you? All right, so there were 5 Democrats who voted against this assault weapons ban, which is interesting to say. But we're going to go ahead and say, let's see who we got. Mario says, let's go. Sup, everybody. Am I not coming through? It seems like I got an excellent connection. Let me know if I'm not coming through, but I think we are. Yeah, very much a fucking liars and tyrants. Yeah, so I'm coming through. So, the House passed legislation Friday that would ban assault weapons for the first time since 2004. We'll share here because I'm sure everybody knows it already, but get this ready to go. And we'll zoom in for you so you can see it just as well as everybody else needs to. So the House passed legislation Friday that would ban assault weapons for the first time since 2004. In a sign that Democrats intend to pursue more aggressive gun violence prevention measures after a spate of mass shootings, the bill passed in a largely party-line vote of 217-213, with 2 Republicans voting for the measure and 5 Democrats opposing it. The level of GOP opposition indicates the bill is unlikely to advance in the evenly split Senate, where it would require the support of at least 10 Republicans to defeat a guaranteed filibuster. It's also not clear if the measure has the support of all 50 Senate Democrats. The legislature, authored by Representative David Cicilline, Democrat from Rhode Island, would criminalize the knowing sale, manufacture, transfer, possession, or importation of many types of semi-automatic weapons and large-capacity ammunition-feeding devices. That right there is the interesting one. So, the possession of many types of semi-automatic weapons and large-capacity ammunition-feeding devices. Large capacity, remember, is anything over 10 nowadays. But the reality of this entire freaking thing is right there, that possession. So it doesn't just ban the sale or the manufacture of them or the transfer of them or even bringing them in from another country. Because let's face it, we don't care if it bans importation of AR-15s. Plain and simple, we're making them here anyways. There's plenty of AK manufacturers as well stateside nowadays. You can get those as well. So buy American, support American, be a real American, be a capitalist. But the reality is any magazine over 10 rounds would be wrapped up in this, which means pretty much every magazine I own for every weapon I own, except for my wife's P238, which we no longer own because we don't own any firearms. We do not own any firearms. There are no reasons to look here. But just remember this: I didn't lose shit. Yeah, so it bans the possession of large capacity ammunition feeding devices, as well as many semi-automatic weapons, which means those weapons that you have in your safe, they're illegal if this gets through. Now, it will not most likely make it through the Senate, but they are pushing this stuff, and they're going to do something drastic. And I see it coming down the pipeline, and eventually it's going to become a problem. So, yeah, as Bukaki says, hope to see the Senate kill that bullshit. I'm not ready for the next civil war yet. Yeah, no, I don't think anybody's ready for the next civil war yet. I think we've discussed that in great detail, but yeah, keep it moving. Nothing to see here. I feel though like today was one of those days, and it really did cause a lot of butthurt.
Penetration! You didn't like that? Oh, what about this? Penetration!
Yeah, so cool, right? Cool. We all good? Don't know what's going on. So these fuckers are going to continue pushing stuff like this. It was interesting. They pulled some rules changes, stuff like that last night, which I don't know. They're probably not going to talk about this, but here's statements from whoever writes for the teleprompter, because it seems cohesive in action. President Joe Biden praised House Democrats for passing the bill and urged the Senate to follow suit. Do not follow suit, Senate. Reach out to your local senators, especially, and make sure they know they're full of fucking shit, and don't vote for that. When guns are the number one killer of children in America, which they're not, when more children die from guns than active duty police and active duty military combined, they don't. We have to act, he said in a statement. Today, House Democrats acted by unifying to pass an assault weapons ban to keep weapons of war off our streets. So the AR-15, mind you, is considered a weapon of war in their eyes, even though it was never used in any wars ever. Yeah, but the M1 Garand, the 1911, items that have and were intended for use in war, have been used in war, and some of them which continue to be used in war are not considered weapons of war. That's how desperate they are to pass this. They just keep adding verbiage to make them more and more and more dangerous based on what we call them. So now the new tagline is weapons of war. Yeah, Mario says weapons of war. Laugh my ass off. It's the truth. So did you see where Nadler said common use was the problem? Yeah, he did. He actually said, because there was the argument that you're attempting to ban weapons that are in common use and of major issues. So yeah, I'm not gonna do whatever, blah blah blah. I don't know. It was just complete bullshit. If I could find the clip, I would. He said that common use is the problem. It's so accessible. These weapons of war, mass destruction, and blah blah blah. This is the new weapons of mass destruction, folks. 9/11 happened because of weapons of mass destruction. Remember? Now we have weapons of war. And people tag into it and get, yeah, we're gonna go for it. Let's do it because we're fucking. But whatever. Break that statement down. When guns are the number one killer of children, I'm pretty sure the number one killer of children in America is Planned Parenthood. When more children die from guns than active duty police and active duty military combined. Active duty police and active duty military in comparison to children is apples and oranges. So maybe, yes, active duty police and active duty military combined, maybe they aren't at the same level of children dying, because you're making a very small subset and comparing it to a large one. Because what they've done here is actually taken all the children who die in a year, not just from gun violence. It's they say from guns. So there's gun violence. There's, use of guns by police officers. Don't forget, some police officers have been known to be responsible for children's deaths. And active duty military combined is just straight up bullshit. Yep, this is the truth right here. If they ban semi-automatic guns, all my ARs won't be semi-automatic anymore. 100% the truth. I have no use for a fully automatic weapon. But if the cost of ownership is the same, what do I have to lose? What do I have to lose? But remember, we need F-15s and nukes. Yeah, let's go, Brandon. Let's just say it flat out. Fuck Joe Biden. It's done, man. Like, what are we gonna do with these fucking people? Just sending a message here. Just a reminder. Sorry. It's late in Ohio, which is where the gentleman who's coming on is from. So I just want to make sure. Still coming on? But anyways, it's all right. During floor debate Friday, before Friday's vote, the House Democrats argued an assault weapons ban was needed because the number of recent shootings where gunmen have used assault-style rifles. What is assault-style? Is it like Gangnam Style? Yep. I just did that. Yeah, I did. Yeah, he added that the Senate should move quickly to get this bill to my desk. Absolutely, they should move quickly to get the bill to his desk. Maybe one that is like a cost of ownership bill. So our guest has arrived for the evening, so we're going to go ahead and welcome him on. The one and the only Adam Grubb, everybody.
How's it going?
How's it going? Hey, we can hear you good. See, you worked on your mic. You figured it out.
Well, sort of. I got trying to catch the sound waves a little better with all this stuff I got. Right.
So for anybody who doesn't know, Adam is one of probably, I would say, the most knowledgeable people that I've ever heard a story of such despair. Because if you're not familiar with this story, we'll kind of let him go over it in a little overview. I'm not going to make you repeat it over and over again. I do have the story in the description of the video we're currently watching. I also have the story linked to the video of before the ATF made their incursion into your life. So if you want to just give a brief overview of the crap you went through in 2006, 2007, I'm sure people would love to hear it. And it's very topical because, well, here we are today with new assault weapon bans and weapons of war, right?
Yeah. Yeah, 2007, I got busted for building my own machine guns and stuff like that. And 38 of them they got from me, not counting all my legal guns I had, which was a lot more than that. But basically, I was illegally doing it, and they kind of caught up with me in a weird way. I mean, nothing I really did wrong other than I took them across state lines, and I left them with my uncle, which was kind of stupid. And while I was back up in Ohio, I was working for a couple weeks. He did something stupid and got in a fight with somebody and fired my AK up in the air, and this girl was on the phone with 911 when he did that. And they heard the automatic gunfire, Of course, the ATF's right there in West Virginia.
Right.
So they were called to the scene. And
Definitely a weird story in how things happened, but that's kind of how all those ever happen, right? It's the old situation of it's never the actions you think they're going to get you. It's the ones that you never even think would even be a possibility.
Yeah.
But so So I'm curious. I know you've talked about it a little bit before, but I've seen some of your Instagram stuff. Like you got into guns like because of a kit that your dad picked up at a rummage sale or something like that.
Yeah, I was like 9 years old, and he was gonna put it together, and weeks went by, and he just never messed with it. And they closed school for the day, but he still went to work, and I got to looking at it. I'm like, well, heck, that can't be too hard, And so I just I stained the stock on it and put it together. It's a simple little kit,
Mm-hmm.
I wasn't really sure if I was doing it right or not, but I did. And he come home from work, and he was mad at me at first, and he got to looking at it, and he's like, "Damn, son, you did a pretty good job on that." So he went and bought 3 more kits like the next week, and wanted me to put them together for him too.
Nice. So what is it that drew you to making automatic weapons?
Well, I got into guns when I was like 17, 18. I bought my first AK and stuff. It was a Norinco Mac 90. And I was looking through the like shotgun news magazines and gun lists and stuff like that. And I would see these kits, like Sten kits and stuff, and I'm like, man, I bet you I could put one of those back together. It can't be too hard,
Right.
And a couple years went by, and I never ordered one. I was kind of afraid to do it, and then I seen one at the gun show, and I bought it for like, I can't remember, it was $40 or something like that. And I went to AutoZone, got me a muffler pipe that measured the same inside diameter and everything. And I bought me a piece of muffler pipe from AutoZone and took it home, and 2 weeks later I was shooting it.
So, and that's I've heard the story, and that's one of the things like is absolutely insane. And a lot of people don't realize that the you can't stop the signal. Like when
Right.
Dark says it, you can't stop the signal. There's so much knowledge out there, and it's so easy to make these weapons. It's really it's a lesson in futility to try to ban guns completely. And even
Right.
this recently in Japan with Shinzo Abe and his assassination, like it was an electronically fired shotgun pistol that did its goddamn job, and didn't blow up, unlike it did for certain individuals on YouTube who decided to make videos about it. If you're not familiar, Brandon Herrera made a video on it and damn near blew himself up, not once, but twice in the making of it. And YouTube has since given him a slap on the wrist and said 7 days until you can post again. But it's interesting to see people who are considered gun manufacturers because of what they're doing, trying to replicate that stuff and having issues. But then looking back on your story and all the things that you've done, obviously we hear about your successes and I converted this and I did that, which I want to get into kind of like how you decided, how you learned to do that. Like, were you reading books and understanding schematics of weapons that were already fully automatic, or was it just a matter of playing with what you had and going, man, if this didn't do that, it would do this?
Yeah, I've always had a mechanical mind. I got that from my dad. He was kind of the same way. I learned a lot from my dad too, not really so much about guns, but just other things, how things were made, and how they go about doing things. And I just got a mechanical mind, I guess, I mean, I'm that way with everything really, there's hardly nothing I can't fix,
Right.
if I really want to fix it.
As long as you want to fix it. Yeah, that's cool. Yeah. Mark says, did a quick read on your story. It really sucks. At least they didn't shoot you or your dog.
Yeah.
So, I've tried to dig up more information on the case and stuff like that. And I was just, because I'm kind of curious as far as punishment. You said they got you for 38 manufactured machine guns. And then obviously the legal possession of firearms, doesn't matter how many you have, you were legally in possession of them until they decided you were no longer a person who could own them. So that's kind of whatever. But the 38 illegally manufactured firearms, I don't know if you want to share, but what kind of punishment was handed down for that? I know that you were, You took a plea bargain in the deal, which
Mhm.
is generally the best case scenario in most of those, anyways. But they'll fight you until you go broke otherwise, and then what's the point?
Yeah.
But is that something you're willing to share?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. It's kind of amazing, really, that I didn't do a day in jail. They actually gave me 1 day credit for 1 day served, but I never had to do it. I really don't know why. I mean, I guess they knew, I had a good job and stuff like that. And the judge was actually going to send me. He had his mind made up. He was put me in there for 5 years, in prison. And my boss at work actually wrote him a handwritten letter, explaining how much they needed me and how good of a person I was. And then he kind of decided to go a different route. The judge did. And that's kind of why I never went to prison.
So when you were on DLD After Dark stream, you told a story about your first time in jail. You spent more time in jail for riding a pedal bike that had a motor on it on the road without a license than you did for manufacturing 38 machine guns.
Yep. Actually, I've been to jail more than once for that.
That's insane.
Sad, really, that it's that way. But
right. I mean, I'm glad. It's cool that you didn't spend time in jail for it. I'm assuming a lot of that comes down to cooperation and being cool about it, because you could have done hid whatever you could and tried to hide stuff, and from your story you were very open, like, man, I know I fucked up, like, here, this is the stuff, But out of everything you had, what is the one thing that you wish you still had?
It'd probably be my 50 caliber, because I was so happy when I got that. I wanted one for a long time, and I worked hard to get it. And it was a nice gun. It was an Armalite AR-50. Nice. Had the olive drab stock.
So
I mean, you'd think it would be a machine gun or something like that, but there's just nothing like having a 50 caliber,
Well, we talk about it all the time here too. It's like machine guns are fun, but they're, unless you're like at war and need a legit cover weapon, that's what they are. They're just fun. That there's certain things that are just gonna always be better. Like I love my AR. I would bump fire it, or love to fire it full auto, but eventually the thrill kind of wears off in my mind. As the person who's not shot a lot of full automatic firearms, did you find that it was kind of just like another thing? Like, you probably had more thrill in completing a conversion than actually firing it.
About at least the same anyway.
Yeah. So
knowing that I could do it.
Yeah. Mario Mechanic Molina wants to know, is Adam able to own firearms now?
No.
So is there any, I don't know Ohio laws, but is there any opportunity for you to get reprieval from that? I know there's obviously gubernatorial pardons, but depending on who's in office, that could be a hard no for quite a while. But
well, my case was federal, and the federal government does not have an expungement program.
That's right.
If you get convicted of a federal felony, you're a felon for life, unless the president pardons you.
However, there's a new development in that story, and this is an interesting one that I just now thought of thinking about this. There is now an acting director of the ATF. Since there is an acting director of the ATF, that means they have to allow for applications for you to get your rights back. There's a process federally that the ATF actually has, and I'll just try to find it real quick, but it's an ATF. I can't remember how it's worded. It's funny, but there is a way to get your rights, a relief of firearms disability signature. So right now, even the ATF website still says it, but technically, when I read this, it should make sense. So, although federal law provides a means for the relief of firearm disabilities, ATF's annual appropriations since October 1992 has prohibited the expending of any funds to investigate or act upon the application for relief from federal firearms disabilities submitted by individuals. As long as this provision is included in current ATF appropriations, ATF cannot act upon applications and relief from federal firearms disabilities submitted by individuals. The only reason that there has been zero appropriations for these programs is because there hasn't been an acting director of the ATF in forever. So it's been probably since October of 1992, because appropriations bills need to be submitted by directors of agencies, and it can't be stand-in directors. They have to be acting directors. So there may be an option for you in the future. Obviously,
That'd be nice.
obviously it'll be an interesting one if the NFA is overturned, because then it kind of opens the floodgates, right? I mean, technically, if the NFA does get overturned, you were not in the wrong at all.
Right.
We
I
all
mean, they
know-
even told me they said I didn't do anything wrong, other
Right.
than I broke a law, but
Well, yeah, and you broke a law that the Constitution says isn't a law. To be fair,
right.
unfortunately, to fight for that, especially today's day and age with the people that are out here, a lot of people would stand up and say, you know what, great, good for you, fight for it. But at the end of time, at the end of the day, it's coming out of your pocket, the money for the lawyers, the money, the time and the energy
Yeah.
and the effort. So if you wanted to fight, that case back in 97 or 2007, right? Yeah, 2006, 2007. If you wanted to fight that case, then it's still a massive undertaking for you. It's a massive cost for you. And to be fair, we in the gun community may be more unified now because of smaller creators and guys who do pull people together, John Crumps and DLD After Dark, Flying Rich, all those guys, they really pull a lot of people together, which is cool. But even then, what Matt's dealing with right now, at the end of the day, he's still the one with his face in front of the shotgun. And, it's
Right.
it's a tough road to hoe to get that going. And I commend him for doing it. And I think that's part of the reason so many people don't, is because it really is like your options were probably you can take this plea bargain and not spend a day in jail, or we're going to prosecute you to the fullest extent of the law, and here's 10 years for every machine gun you manufactured. And
That's exactly what they told me too.
just, yeah, it's ridiculous.
Yeah.
You get coerced into it. It's like, yeah, you took it under your own free will, but it wasn't under your own free will. It was this or that. And without the money to
Yeah.
fight it, you're going to prison, because taxpayers keep paying taxes. Employers don't keep paying.
It was a stupid thing that I recorded myself like I did, I mean, I think back on it now kind of, and I mean, that's how they got me, because if it wasn't for that, I mean, they had nothing. I had all my legal guns still in the garage, but everything illegal was,
Yeah.
But then again, they might have searched and found, the weed, whatever they found. I still to this day don't think it was mine, even though I did smoke weed at the time. I didn't even know I had any. I mean, all it was like a little bit roach or something like that. I don't know.
Right. Yeah,
But
they can find whatever they want, and I've seen
Yeah.
I've seen it to the point where they're like, well, we can do whatever we want, and they plant one thing because it opens an entire case, but it's the one thing that you're not going to fight against. You're like, man, where'd that come from? Fuck.
Mhm.
It's something stupid, but I've seen plants even do that. It's dumb. Yeah, coerced into accepting the plea bargain. Yeah, but except for the fact that coercion, it doesn't come through in the court. So you stand in front of the judge, and the judge asks you over and over again, did you do this of your free will? Is anybody forcing you to do this? Is this and that? And you stand there and you answer what you got to answer, because if you don't answer it that way, it's going to be the wrong way. So
Yeah.
I know personally on my side, because and my side of the story, I've been a restricted person as well. I gained my rights back, luckily, but I spent 14 years as a felon myself, and young, dumb, and full of stupid acts of things. And I wasn't so lucky. I spent a little time in jail, but I didn't manufacture any firearms. I just got in trouble for stealing a vehicle that happened to be running when I got in it. But it's kind of history. It's past. It makes you who you are. And now here you are today, an individual who trying to move on. Have you driven a car yet?
No.
No.
I still ride my bike.
That to me is one of the most interesting things of your story, is like you just haven't driven a car. You just don't want to drive a car, or you just don't have any wants. You don't need it.
I've always told myself or told people I don't see how you do it. I mean, it costs so much money, you know. I mean, that's part of how I did what I did was I rode my bike. You know, it saved me a lot of money. You know,
that's fair.
That's kind of how I was able to do what I did to the extent, you know,
right,
or to the level that I did it.
Yeah, because to the level that you did it. So you bought a milling machine at one point. What other
yeah,
tools
right there.
What other tools did you have? What other?
Yeah, I never used the machines.
No.
Well, I bought a little mini lathe. It's like a 3-in-1 machine, you know, little mill and lathe all in one. And then I bought a bigger mill. And later on, I bought a 2-ton war production lathe, which I still have. It was made in 1945. It's a hell of a lathe. But yeah, I never used the machines to build the guns. I did it all by hand, you know.
Mm-hmm. So, and I know you said that, you know, you would never modify the original stuff. You would buy an additional, like a trigger kit or whatever for, say, the SKS. You bought an additional trigger for it, and then you modified the trigger kit so you could swap them back and forth. But obviously, when you build a Sten, you're not thinking of swapping it back and forth, which still out of an exhaust pipe it baffles me, but it really is how easy it can be done. Now, as an individual,
I mean, there's nothing to them.
Yeah, as an individual with all that knowledge in your head, do you feel like everything goes to shit tomorrow, you could just fucking pick right back up and do whatever you wanted to do again?
Oh yeah, I mean, I've learned a lot more since then just studying, you know. I mean, I don't really have to. I do things in my head, you know.
Right. Cool. So, out of all the stuff that you learned, and like you said, you just kind of did it, kind of took it apart, looked at it. Was there any like mechanical books or, you know, gunsmithing books that you kind of like leaned on a lot to understand things that were a little more complex, or was it really all just, I'm going to take this fucking drill apart and I'm going to figure out what direction all the gears turn?
Yeah, I mean, I never really. I mean, I've read some things here and there to learn this or that, but for the most part, I just kind of knew it. I mean, how to do it, really. To me, firearms are like common sense. I mean, that's what it feels like to me. I mean, They're simple, you know.
Most of them are. I'll say most of them are. Some of them are overcomplicated, but
yeah, like if you tear a Browning machine gun apart, now that's a little complicated.
Yeah.
You know.
Yep. I've got a full schematic of it, and it's just like, I'm a mechanical designer, so I love the schematics and looking at it because I can see how it puts together too. And it's like, it's just insane that was designed on a drafting board by a guy who was just literally like, okay, if I put this piece here and make it look like this, it's going to do that. And I'm sure.
Yeah, and it's a time period. The time period he did it too.
Right.
You know, it was amazing that he did what he did.
Yeah, it's not like today where you got 3D printers and rapid prototyping. All the tests, that was somebody out there with a machining, you know, center or a mill or an XY table, putting it together, grinding it, filing it, doing whatever to get it just right, and then putting it together. So,
and I will say too, what helped me a lot was the job that I had. You know, I worked in a metal stamping factory. You know, and I learned a lot there.
Yeah, learn how to work metals a lot. Could imagine that.
Yeah.
So,
You know,
what was
I
your
set up the machine. I could put an AK-47, die in. You know what I mean? To make
right?
AK-47 flats and stamp them out. I set the machines up.
Right. Cool. What was your favorite gun to build? I guess your favorite one to work on.
All of them. But I guess I built probably more Stens than any other gun. I built like 8 Mark IIIs.
Yeah.
I built a
Well,
Mark
and a lot
V, a
of
Mark
things
II.
similar. I know you said you had the PPSH. You had just a crap ton of other weapons, just completely built. Were
All
most
the
of them
good
built
ones.
from kit?
Yeah.
Did you say not any good ones?
Oh, I said all the good ones.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
So were they all built basically from kits? I know you were sharing like a magazine that literally had kits for like $40 and stuff like that from the time, and it's like you don't think about it, but at the time, yeah, that really was that. I mean, I've
Yeah.
had I had a guy buying Uzi, demilled Uzi kits for like $29 at the time, and like insane, but yeah, that's what they went for.
But yeah, most of them were built from kits. A lot of AKs and stuff like that. But there was one gun that I pretty much completely, probably say 90% maybe homemade. I made the bolt, I made all that stuff. No, I think I used a barrel out of something else, but other than that, I made everything else.
Nice. And when you made the stuff, did you make it from drawings, or was it all just kind of feels? Like
Yeah, just in my head, I just kind of went with it, and this has got to be like that, and this has got to do this, and took me a little while, but I got it.
That's crazy. Yeah. I don't even know how. Like I know I'm a mechanical person. How do you keep how do we keep that in your head? I'm assuming there's just a ton of noise in your head all the time. How do you keep that
Yeah.
under wraps now? What are you doing to kind of quell that? I'm sure you don't just stop being mechanical. That's the reality
Right.
of it.
Yeah, I still think about guns, and I still want to do it. But for the most part, now I build motorized bikes and just other mechanical things. I've always been into that kind of stuff anyway. So, guns isn't the only hobby I've had. And
Mm-hmm. So motorized bikes, you're making electric bikes, gas engine powered bikes, stuff like that. And that's why
yeah,
you've spent more time in jail.
I built a wheelchair that did 45 mile an hour. I rode that through town just to show off to the cops, but they didn't see me.
Oh,
I rode it back home. I got away with it that time.
I'm glad they didn't see you, but
Yeah.
I suppose in your area now the cops pretty much know who you are. Do they mess with you more or less?
Less actually. They actually don't bother me at all anymore. Actually, I don't know if it's because I'm older or what it is, but yeah, they see me, they just kind of look the other way and wave at me maybe or something. They all know me. I mean,
right.
It's a small town.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know exactly where you are in Ohio, and I'm not going to ask you to tell me where you are in Ohio. Obviously, you're close enough to ride your bike to West Virginia based on your story, but
Actually, I live about 15 minutes from Michigan.
really,
Yeah.
that's a hell of a ride on a pedal bike, man.
Yeah, it was.
Jesus Christ. I can't. I'm like at a mile, and I'm like, yeah. I'm definitely not in shape, but
Yeah, actually, I live right in the northwest corner, the very northwest county. It borders Indiana and Michigan.
Gotcha. Yeah, you're right up there. So,
Yep.
what else? I know I wanted to talk to you about some other stuff. Generally speaking, like what you're doing now, like I know that you could have been like anything with your mechanical mind, and have you found that it kind of drags you down now, the conviction, or or has it not really held you back? You just kind of do your own thing. You're still
Yeah,
doing.
I've never really recovered from that. It does kind of get me down a lot, but it's nothing I can really do about it. And go on with my life. Try to.
Right. So Cancer Mouse has a question. Says, what do you think about mills and lathes in 20 years? I think she's getting to the whole point of, do you think they're still going to be around, or you think they're going to be just a novelty?
They'll always be around, I'm sure.
I know 3D printing is coming around
I
pretty
couldn't
heavily
imagine
in
my
metal
laptop.
and stuff, but I hope they come down in price because I would love to get a mill. I have a lathe. But,
I got lucky. I bought my big war production lathe. It was originally a lathe designed to be on a battleship. And
so you got an old
the company I worked for bought it from a government. What's that?
So is it a Cincinnati or?
It's a Sydney.
Oh, Sydney.
Made in Sydney, Ohio. Yep. And I actually rode through that town too, where it was made, on my way to West Virginia.
Yeah. So Cancer Mouse.
Yeah, I only paid $450 for it.
Oh, that's awesome. That's a hell of a price.
Yeah.
I mean, moving it was probably a chore.
Yeah, well, I got lucky there too. My dad also worked for the same company, and he went to load it on the trailer that day at the factory, and we only lived about 4 miles out of town, and he decides, well, hell, I'll just drive it out there. Took an extra tank with him and drove it out there, and I was home that day. I stayed home because I was actually on house arrest in my garage for the gun thing, and he set it down right there. I set it down on some round steel bar stock, and I just moved it with my big bar, and that's where I wanted it. And he took off back to the factory.
Leverage works, man. Leverage works.
Yep.
So Cancer Mouse clarified. She said she's worried about registration. So do you see in 20 years or so them having registration for lathes and mills? Which I guess I could see that for, they're trying to go after people manufacturing their own firearms. That's one way to do it.
I couldn't imagine that they would go that far, but these days you never know.
What's up, perps? CNT Design coming in. What's up, Coop? Goddamn Bacon's here too. Hey, it's been a little while. It seems to me like you've gone through a lot of shit, and you like a pedal bike. So hopefully you don't like this pedal bike. But just for everybody here, this is commonplace here. You're new to it. You'll probably enjoy it.
Penetration! You didn't like that? Oh, what about this? Penetration!
We give it to the people every once in a while, a little penetration. Standing joke. Yeah, I don't know, man. It's crazy. I don't imagine them going that far either to register lathes and tooling, stuff like that. But I have seen in some 3D printers already, there's blocks. Like if you try to print a firearm in an industrial 3D printer, they actually will not print. It's crazy to think about it, but it's a profile that's been programmed in that if X profile or Y profile is put in, that it will not allow you to print it. I don't know for a fact, but I've attempted to even just put it in and get an estimate on how much time to print it through an industrial printer, and they will not even estimate. They just fail out. So it's crazy, but they've got some digital footprints out there they're watching, and they're making sure people aren't doing things that are perfectly legal for them to do.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. Still there?
Yep, I'm still here.
Okay. Yeah, the company I worked for, when I built my Browning machine gun, I made the receiver out of 4140. Well, I had access to the tool room, and I know how to use a surface grinder and mill and all that stuff. And I just went ahead in there and kind of had my own little project in there. That's kind of how I built my Browning. And that's when I decided I wanted to buy my own mill and lathe and all that stuff. And I bought all that stuff like right before I got busted.
All right, here we're gonna start the cam back up and see. There we go. Yeah, I know I lost the video, Mark. I can see it on my end. I lost it. I apologize. I don't know. Camera's being wonky tonight. So Coop says, Adam, you rock, brother.
Thanks.
Yeah, you definitely, like I said, you have one of the most unique stories when it comes to becoming a person who can't have firearms and still, I mean, being so recent and being out and about, which is very unique. But I know you're into music heavily too.
Yeah.
What is your favorite song if you have one?
Probably be a Pink Floyd song. I'm not even sure which one. I love Pink Floyd.
Good music.
I love the music. Couldn't really tell you what song I love. I love them all, really.
I get it. So, yeah, Coop says, Adam, any gun company should hire you.
Now, I wish I could work for a gun company. I tell you.
I would say if you weren't assembling the stuff, there probably wouldn't be a problem with it in a lot of cases. But it's the background check if they final assemble stuff in the location usually is a problem. But
Yeah.
I'd say as far as being an individual qualified to work on something, making bolts all day probably seem boring to some people, but I imagine that would just be a
I'd love
blast,
that. I'd love to do anything like that.
right?
That'd turn my life around, really.
Right. So obviously, you say that would turn your life around. Like, do you feel like pigeonholed to where you are because of everything, or is it just kind of like
Kind of in a way.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, in a way, like, I've actually got jobs because the owners knew that I knew what I know, but at the same time, it kind of does drag me down in a way. Just thinking about it, not being able to do this or that.
right? So when you say like people who knew what you did and they wanted to hire you because of it, like, are they trying to get information from you? Like,
No, they just know that I'm good with mechanical things, and
okay,
they need some.
I know there's like always those guys who are like, man, he knows how to build automatic firearms. I need to get to know him. I'm gonna pick his brain. I'm gonna get in there. And we're gonna do this, and we're gonna make them ourselves. But just wanted to make sure it wasn't like that, because that sucks. And I feel like you're being used for that. But I mean, in life, we're all used for something.
I mean, if anybody asks me something, I'll tell them how it's done. I mean, because there's nothing illegal about that.
Well, you gotta be careful with that now, because you get an auto key card that shows you a picture of something, you can go to fucking prison for it. So
it shouldn't be that way, but
it isn't, and it shouldn't be. But as Coop even said, he goes, "You should have all your rights back. You never hurt anyone. Victimless crimes they're not even crimes, right? A felony."
I've always told people this country is a more dangerous place now because they took my guns. Really, because I would love to save someone's life if I had to in a situation, or you know what I mean? Like, that's why I had the guns I had, to protect my friends, my family, my country,
Right. Coop also asked, how much time did you serve? He spent more time in jail for riding his bike without a license. Awesome news, but yeah, it still baffles me, man. 0 time and credited for 1 day served.
It's probably never happened before, I'm sure. It probably will
never happen again either.
Right.
And that's what happens when you're a stand-up guy, though. Like, you obviously cooperated. You knew, like you said, you fucked up. Like, it was, well, shit. It wasn't even like your issue of anything and everything. It's crazy. Did your uncle ever have to deal with anything?
I'm not really sure. I've only talked to him one time since. I know he can still have guns, so he didn't really get in that much trouble. That's really, I can't believe that, but right. Yeah, the only thing he asked me when I've seen him, but it was like several years later, he's like, "You still got that 50?"
Yeah, I remember that from your story. I was like,
yeah, I'm like, dude, they took everything, man. It was like he didn't even know that, like, what really happened, like, I mean, I know you're 400 miles away, but damn.
Yeah, that's still, yeah, it's one of those things. It's crazy, man. Everybody changed their names on me tonight. We got The cancer mouse was Ting Ting. I could tell from the profile picture. And we got Burnaby Sanchez coming in saying howdy folks and howdy pineapple, but now he's just bullshit. So everybody's changing their names, man. What the fuck? Come on.
Huh.
Just get used to you. CNT says you're a cool dude and that shit should have never happened. That's just crazy. I agree. Like you said, it's not even technically according to the Constitution. There's nothing illegal about what you did. And you didn't hurt anybody. You weren't harming nothing. And like I said, I mean, other than the whole scary factor of them, machine guns or fully automatic weapons are not any more dangerous than any other weapon. A hammer used properly can do just as much damage.
Yeah. What about I've always told people I don't understand why sniper rifles aren't illegal then, because I mean, look what you could do with a sniper rifle, That's
Right.
more scary to me.
Right. Anti-material rifle from a mile away. Just,
yeah, I mean, it just makes no sense,
yeah. But then silencers, mufflers, whatever you want to call them, flash hiders with noise suppression. I know that you had a bunch of those too that got taken and for illegal manufacture. That's an art form. And to hear that yours were so well done that higher
how
quality.
people will say there's no such thing as a silencer. They say they're called suppressors. Well, there is a difference between a suppressor and a silencer.
Right.
That's what I say, because I was making silencers, I mean, I probably don't want me saying how I did it, but they're done a different way, different materials inside and stuff like that.
Right. Yeah, I mean, it's a difference between allowing the gas to expand and dissipate energy before it leaves the end of the barrel and actually capturing the gas and trapping all that energy internally, but not restricting the projectile. It's two different means. Yep, I get it. Mechanically, I understand. It's the difference between a pillow and a Coke bottle, right?
Yeah.
So,
but silencers actually they actually work. They're more quiet, than a suppressor really is.
Right. I mean, suppressors. Everybody, even if you're complaining about gas blowback, it's because you're using a suppressor, not a silencer.
Yeah.
There's no gas escaping from a silencer, other than the projectile and anything that comes behind it.
Yep.
So the goddamn bacon says, in an ironic sense, all the Flanders types that somehow think I'm an affront for the big man upstairs assured I'm never changing my name. Oh. Okay, he's never changing his name. That's Bacon's way of saying he's never changing his name. Perfect. So when I put my pillow in front of my gun, it's a felony. Well, it depends on what you're doing. Most of the time, if you're putting your pillow in front of your gun and doing something according to the movies, it's a felony already. So involves, a bedroom scene and a close-up gunfight that wouldn't exist or happen. So, yeah, probably already a felony, to be fair.
Most of my silencers, like for my 22s and stuff like that, I would use mag flashlights,
Yeah, well,
it's just kind of weird that
for that now.
I've seen on YouTube other people doing it, I'm like, well, hell, that was my idea 20 years ago, But I'm sure somebody else did it before I did. I don't know, but
well, that's the beautiful thing about it is good ideas are often repeated without knowledge of other people doing it.
Yeah.
It's an easy thing to get. It's an easy thing to have.
Yeah.
It's just like the Ford oil.
A lot of spare parts for mag lights laying around.
Got the 4Ds, the 5Ds, couple Cs, all the way down to the double A's.
Now on the silencers too, I actually had a silencer book from the U.S. government or the U.S. military or something like that, or U.S. Department of whatever it was. It was a military book, U.S. military book on silencers, and it went all the way back to before World War I.
Yep.
And I learned a lot of information from that.
Like the old field guides where it was like, in a situation where you have to do this, this is how you manufacture it from random pieces around the world, or is it just kind of like, was it actually like their internal documentation?
Yeah, uh, it was all their stuff, you know, like information from way back, you know, from the beginning of making silencers, really. Like, what am I trying to think? You know, old bolt action rifles and stuff like that. The Sten was even in there, the Mark IIs Sten. So I got me a Mark II kit, and I made a Mark II Sten, you know.
Right. So I don't want to keep you too long because I know it's already going on 11 o'clock by you. And we usually do this about an hour. An interesting dude, and I'm sure we could just have conversations for hours. I'd welcome you back anytime you want to talk and hang out, whatever. Because I think you got plenty you could talk about. I mean, mechanically, we could get into some pretty crazy shit on here because I'm not afraid of putting anything out there. And knowledge is power. And talking to a guy like you who's got the knowledge and not just, you know, oh, I did it in a book. Like you fucking did it. Like you're manufacturing firearm components from your head. Like, people don't do that. I mean, now it's 3D models, and at best, people are, you know, measuring everything, etching stuff out, drawing it, cutting it, you know, filing it to precise measurements, and
like the first Sten I built
is often an imprecise job.
Yeah, right. The first Sten I built with a muffler pipe, you know, I didn't have no template, you know, to bond it on template or nothing like that. I just measured everything. I measured the bolt, where everything had to be. You know, I marked it out, started cutting and filing, and that's just how I made it, you know.
Right. Cool. That's incredible. And it really is. It's a true testament of things that have been lost. People spend too much time doing things that don't benefit anything. And it's just literally going out and trying stuff is what got you into a lot of trouble. But at the same time, hey, you know, you're here now because
I wouldn't change anything, though. I wouldn't change. I mean, I'm glad I know what I know, you know.
Right. You can't take it away. I think I said it in Dark Stream. You were one of the few people that I would pay for your thoughts because
I remember you saying that. Yeah.
You know what you're talking about. Like there's so many people who say they know or just do whatever. It's like I'm a gun builder or I'm a gun manufacturer, and it's, well, you built an AR. It's kind of the difference between paint by numbers and the fucking Mona Lisa. Like, congratulations, I painted by numbers. Here's a Monet.
You know, I don't know everything either. You know, I mean, I've learned stuff from young kids. You know, I mean, I'm always listening and observing. You know, I've always been that way.
Yeah. Mark Spivey says, yeah, I'm on Eastern time myself and old too. So it's about my bedtime. Yeah. And I appreciate that. And I appreciate everybody who comes here on a Friday night and hangs out. And that's why I try to get some cool guests and some people to talk to that got interesting stories like yourself. So I do thank you for your time. Definitely keep doing you. Keep your head up. I mean, I know it's not easy. Like I said, 14 years as a felon myself, I know it can kind of hold you back, but if you don't let it hold you back, man, just do what you got to do and get out there. Obviously, you're living your life the way you want to live it. You know, riding your bike, doing your thing, probably saving a shit ton of money now because gas prices are ridiculous.
Yeah, very ridiculous.
But there you know, you can do other things and enjoy that at least. So,
you know, my music helps a lot too, you know.
Yeah. So if you guys don't know, Adam does have a YouTube channel. A lot of the stuff that you post now is more about just, you know, playing the guitar, you know, playing different music, stuff like that, getting out there. It's chill, man, just to kind of watch the stuff when you post it, which is cool. And maybe some more of that stuff is needed in our lives because we're so hyper focused on everything all the time. But go show them some love, show them some support, and get them some more subscribers, man. What are you at? You're like 2,600 subscribers or something like that, and
Something
from
like
what I
that,
can
yeah.
tell, it's not even like you're trying and you're just having fun, which is
Yeah, well, I mean, I
kind of what I
haven't
get about
posted
you.
that, but
What was that?
I haven't posted anything for quite a bit. But I mean, I like to build, musical instruments too. Like that shovel I made, and ironing board. I put some strings on, and you can basically put strings on anything and play it.
Yeah, if you can get the tension across, you're good.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'd love to see some improvised instruments. That'd be cool. Never know what you got. And the goddamn Bacon doing his job and sharing the channel link, which is also in the description below, as well as now in the chat. So make sure to click it. Go subscribe. Just what do you got to lose? It doesn't cost you nothing. Just go, and you never know what he's gonna post. So
Right.
yeah, everything goes to shit one day. Maybe you'll find a blueprint or something. You never know. But everything has to go to shit at some point. But it's getting pretty fucking close. And I'm hoping
Yeah,
this new
none of us gonna make it
AWB,
out of this alive. That's for sure.
yeah, this new assault weapon ban that's going into the Senate, if it doesn't get struck down, we said it earlier. I hope it gets struck down because none of us are ready for the next civil war yet. So,
Right.
the goddamn Bacon says you can put strings on anything and play it. This explains why G strings are a thing.
That's a good one.
Very, very true. Well, yeah. We could make dumb jokes, whatever we want to say, but at the end of the day, we're just going to say thank you, everybody, for coming. Thank you for your time. And again, Adam, thanks for stopping in. You're an incredibly cool dude to talk to, and you got a raw deal. And I hope that we do see movement in the NFA, and we do have an opportunity to get Adam Grubb retribution and get back to doing what you really want to do. So
That's nice.
yeah, CNT says that the AWB passed the House today, kiddos. We know it passed the House. We're hoping it doesn't go anywhere in the Senate. Pretty sure they don't have the support over there, but you never know. It's politics. Two-party politics is bullshit, and people cross the line all the time because they don't really care about the constituents because it's not a representative government anymore, folks. Change it. We got to change it. Get out, vote. Become a person to be voted on. Get rid of the career politicians. So, Adam, again, thanks for your time, and this will be the last time we'll end it. So, anything you want to say before we go?
I don't think so.
All right. Soft-spoken individual.
Words.
What was that?
I'm a man of few words.
Man, a few words. Perfect. I'll leave it at that, folks. Have a great weekend. Stay safe, and watch out for them fucking redcoats because they're already here.
Yeah.